Recently, the New Mexico state government passed SB 140, which extends free public college to every New Mexico resident. Over the past 2 days, we interviewed members of the senior and junior class to get their perspective on the law and it possibly being implemented in New Jersey in some form in the future. Do you plan on attending college after you graduate?
Yes.
Are you committed to a college yet?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the legislation that just passed in New Mexico that makes public colleges free for all residents?
Yes.
Do you think this is going to have a positive impact or a negative impact?
It will have a positive impact because student loans and student debt are some of the biggest reasons as to why young people can't buy houses and buy cars and build capital wealth, and it would reduce the inequalities and give people more of an opportunity for upward mobility.
Do you think something like this could happen in New Jersey, and what do you think would be the impact of it at home?
Yeah, it would. It would certainly could certainly happen in New Jersey. I mean, in a state where we already have the second best education system in the country, um, New Jersey would do a lot to do it, at least for their state and community colleges. Then they already did something in Rutgers where um, if you make under a certain amount, you get a heavily discounted tuition. And Rutgers itself is still 11,000 a year, which is not cheap, but compared to how much college costs now, it's pretty good.
Do you plan on attending college after you graduate high school?
I do.
Are you familiar with the new legislation that passed in New Mexico regarding public colleges?
I am.
Do you think a similar bill like that could pass in New Jersey, and what do you think the impact would be at home?
Yeah, absolutely. I not just in New Jersey. I think in a lot of places a similar bill can pass. I really don't think it's considering everything going on right now. It's a big political issue, and I think it's going to take a while to really get a dent in there. But I feel like it could definitely happen.
Do you plan on attending college next year?
I do.
Are you familiar with the bill that recently passed the New Mexico state legislature?
Yes, I am.
Do you think this is going to have a positive or negative impact on New Mexico residents?
I think it's kind of dependent on financial status of different groups of people because they're making it free college for certain people, but I don't think every single resident of New Mexico would need free college. I think some can afford it on their own. So I think it has like a neutral impact depending on who you ask.
Okay, what are your thoughts of a similar bill possibly gaining traction and passing in the state of New Jersey?
I think it would have the same effect. I'd have the same opinion about it. That'd be dependent on who you ask and their financial status.
Do you plan on attending college after you graduate?
I do plan on attending college.
Are you familiar with the new bill that passed the New Mexico state legislature?
I'm gonna go with no.
Basically, the New Mexico state legislature and governor signed into law a bill that extends free public college to all residents. Do you think this is going to have a positive or negative impact on the residents of that state?
I'd say it would probably overall have a positive impact. Um, Assuming that money is coming out somewhere out of tax dollars. At least in my view, that's an adequate use of that money, especially providing a more accessible public education is very important and honestly an issue we have here. So I feel like adopting that law into anything would be beneficial. So.
To sort of build on that, what do you think the odds are of something like that passing in New Jersey, and do you think it would be positive here?
I could see something like that passing in New Jersey. I mean, I feel like we would require a lot of support for that from both political demographics. So that I think that would be a difficult thing to pass, but I would see benefit, I think, personally. And I know a lot of people who go to public colleges, and financially, putting yourself in debt for the rest of your life isn't a fantastic thing. So if we could, relieve some of that stress for families, for students, that'd be beneficial. Yeah.